What is up, YouTube? This is Smash a Mass here with my first tutorial, one of a kind, how to set up your own stream using consoles, game footage, VCRs, and DVD players, and more for under $40. Now, there are a couple of required materials here to get this going, but forewarning, this is the lower grade equipment. The reason why it's cheaper is because it is lower quality. Now, if you want to go with the higher quality stuff like the Elgato HD capture and such of that sort, it's much easier and much quicker, but it's much more expensive. So, this is the cheap and easy alternative to sending signal from both your television and your computer and live streaming, capturing, and all sorts of different stuff like that. So, the first thing you're going to need is an easy capture device called EasyCap, model number DC60. These go for roughly around $8 to $10 and work well enough. They capture composite input feeds, which are the yellow, red, and white cords, usually found on older gaming consoles, DVD players, VHSs, and whatever else that requires them, going from 1990 to discontinuing very recently. Next, inside the package of your EasyCap should be a CD, which includes all of the firmwares and drivers. This is very important. Do not lose this DVD because this device is not a plug-and-play for Windows Vista and on. Windows XP, I've heard it could be used as a plug-and-play, but I still don't want you to take the risk. Hold on to this, you're going to need this for the tutorial. Next, you're going to need a 4-way distribution amplifier. This is one of the Radio Shack top of the lines, so it's a little more expensive, but the one that I'll link you to in the description below works just as well. Actually was used in the Special Olympics stream on my channel, which I'll link you to for quality purposes, and they work just fine, and it's around $16, so it's a little cheaper. Next, you're going to need two RCA or two composite male-to-male 12 feet is recommended. These are 6 foot only because the area around my television to my computer is very short. Depending on how far your television is from the computer, I'd recommend getting a cord as long as possible. So maybe like a 50 foot or 75 foot depending on where the cord is compared to the computer. If you're using a desktop, you're obviously going to get better encoding, but it's going to be a little less mobile. So if you're using one of those, just measure out using a measuring tape or something and figure out the right length that you'll need to connect your computer to the distributor to the television. Now, without further ado, let's get on to see how we can get this little device to work on stream and on the internet. What is up, guys? Alright, so we're on the desktop, and if you noticed, I'm actually using the OBS program itself to run this tutorial. So it's not only a streaming program, but it's also a capture and encoding program. So it's a very multifunction program, and this is a very universal tutorial. This is specifically for consoles and for VCR and DVD players, but you should be able to get more out of this if you know what you're doing. So, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to insert the CD that was previously shown and go to the CD driver folder. Now, by default, Windows 7 should autoplay it and pop up a little window that says, do you want to run autorun.exe? Click it because that is what we want to run. If you open up the actual DVD, it should be called drivers in, usually it's in the E folder, but because I have a spare hard drive in there, it moved over to the G folder. There are other files and stuff inside the inside this DVD CD, but we don't need them at the moment. We just need the auto run. Once the auto run opens, you should get this little window that should prompt you to install DirectX, browse CD, or install. Click install and go through all of the necessary steps to install everything that is prompted, because the driver is locked somewhere inside those programs and you need to install them. Now, the programs, I guess you could consider spamware, but they're actually somewhat helpful in their own kind of special way, and they don't bug you ever. So once they're installed, they just sit in the background, and the drivers are locked in the computer, and all is well. So once you're done with that, exit, then take your little EasyCap device, make sure it's number DC60 from the DVD, and insert it into your computer. Now, normally it would show that it is installing the drivers, but because I've already used this USB port, it's already recognized it. It should recognize it as either a TV007 or a OEM device. So either or should work, but in case it doesn't, you could always go back and reinstall the drivers or install it into a new USB port. Next, we're going to go to the OBS website, from Google, and install the basic driver package. The current build for this video is 0.8584. It's no problem about updating because the program automatically updates any outdated pieces of the software. So it's not just one big bundle of the software, it's actually the individual drivers and plugins. So that's really helpful. So download this, and the download should start immediately, and once it downloads, just install the program onto your drive, and once it's installed, then you should see a desktop icon, which I moved into this little folder here, that you can access for later. Now, before we open this program, I'd like to move over to the Android camera to show you how to set up the actual physical cords for the capture device and the television. Alright guys, so here we have our little USB camera and our splitter and everything. So we're going to take our EasyCap USB device, and we are going to set up the amplification distributor to send to the television and to the stream. So first of all, let's take our little amplifier plus our cords here and move them over towards the television. Now, this may differ for other people, considering we all have different house setups, but for the most part, this is what it will be like. Now, every single amplification distributor has input and output. This specific model has 1 input and 4 outputs, which is the same amount that will be in the link will be in the device, or the link in the description below. So let's take our input, which will be this little Wii here, and move its composite cables into the correct colors. So we'll move the red into the red, the white into the white, and the yellow into the yellow. Now, sometimes they won't have a yellow input and will only have this green input. These are identical if you're using the composite setup. So if you don't have a orange setup, just move or don't have a yellow setup, just move the yellow over to the green and it should work just fine. Not sure about this distributor model though, so I don't want to take the risk. Next, we'll take our inputs, this cable right here, and hook it in to the outputs. So this is all output. Everything here is what's being sent to other devices. So this is the exact same input regardless of which plugs you put it into. I just like keeping it in order. So we'll take our little things here. Now, every single amplification distributor will have a power input. So there will be a specific type of cord that will power the device. Make sure not to lose this cord. It is a pain in the neck to find another one. This distributor has a little bit of information telling you what kind of cord you need. For me, it's 12 volt DC 300 milliamp. It could be different for your amplifier, but for the most part, it's going to be similar considering that it's the same input / output being sent. So, plug in your device and take the outputs into the places desired. So, got this a little mixed up here. Alright. For the sake of tutorial, I'll just speed this up and not plug that back in. Take your input and place it into the television. Or output, my apologies. Into the input of the television. And then take the other cord and move it over to your OEM device. So plug these all in. See here? This place is a little bit of a wreck. Let's see. Here it is. And okay, got it. So once these are all plugged into the desired colors, you'll see that you have the input of the device desired and the output, which will be sent to both the television and to the OEM device. Now let's move back to the desktop where I'll explain a little bit more about this.